Hey everybody, I'm here with Shayne Van Ness, recently committed to Penn State. Shayne is the top ranked senior prep national champion, all around great wrestler. Shayne, thanks for taking the time today.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
See you representing the Penn State faithful already behind you.
Yes, sir.
So before we get into the commitment, I know you're banged up a little bit, got a leg injury. Can you tell us what's going on there?
Yeah, so I broke my ankle about 3 weeks ago. I had surgery, and I just started physical therapy now. Everything is going really well. I'm not really focused on getting back anytime soon because I have a lot of time. So I really just want to make sure everything is completely fixed before I jump back in there.
Are you in a cast or are you in a boot?
I'm not. So I have an air boot that I can take on and off as I like.
Gotcha. You've been injured a couple times in the past. Does that affect you mentally when it comes to being such a driven wrestler?
It does. It makes me better. I think that having time off makes me not only appreciate when I can wrestle, but it allows me to use other sorts of ways to get better, such as watching film and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Do you get antsy when you're off the mat? Like, do you have just too much energy, or do you just focus it?
Sure. I swim for about an hour a day.
No kidding.
Because I got to do some sort of physical exercise, or else I'll lose my mind.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Where does that drive to succeed come from?
I'm not really sure. I've just always wanted to be the best at what I do. This is something that I love and I'm passionate about, and I wouldn't want to do it half-assed or anything else than the best.
Gotcha. All right, so you recently, like last night, committed to Penn State. Can you tell me a little bit about why you chose Penn State and what the recruiting process was like?
So the recruiting process itself was long, and I'm so glad that it's over. I think that I chose Penn State because the people there, I felt like I fit in really well, and the culture that they have is, when I went to visit, I never actually got on a mat with any of them. All I did was talk to them and just hang out with them, and I could just tell that these guys were hungry to wrestle and be the best, and that's the type of environment that I want to be in.
Gotcha. Who was your primary contact? Was it Coach Kale? Was it Casey? Cody?
I would say it was kind of split between all of them, but I think Coach Cody was the one who I connected with the most.
Gotcha. Now, have you ever rolled around with that guy?
I have not, actually.
No. He's funky.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, he coaches like every style there is. It's everybody who I talk to, Coach Kale's got a really good sense of humor. Can you tell any anecdote of communicating with him that would be, I think Robbie Howard would just send him like one-word messages like "sup."
That's pretty close, pretty accurate. It's a lot of dad jokes and just kind of dry humor. But once you get to know the guy, it starts to grow on you for sure.
Does your dad's a former All-American, right, at Rutgers. Does he have dad humor, or does he have like kid humor?
No, my dad is one of the funniest guys right now.
Okay.
I joke around with him like he's one of my best friends. Gotcha.
So choosing Penn State, you like the atmosphere of guys who are hungry to wrestle. Was there anything else in the process that, I don't want you to talk badly about any schools, obviously, but was there, what are you going to be when you grow up?
I'm going to be a world and Olympic champ. So I want to wrestle the Big Ten schedule. I want to get challenged every single weekend. And I have goals beyond my collegiate career.
Gotcha. Do you ever wrestle your dad? He's a little bigger than you now.
Yeah, so actually we both are kind of injured right now. He just had surgery on his shoulder because we are planning a super match, me versus him. And we want to be fully healthy, so there's no excuses. So yeah, we wrestle all the time.
What's a match like that look like?
So for me, from my perspective, is I gotta wait about 30 to 45 seconds and make sure I defend everything, and then I just go. I just take it to him after that.
Is that because his cardio is gone after that period?
Yeah, a little bit. So if he can catch me within that first little time period, he's got it. He's too big. He's too strong. But if I can find a way to stay away, hand fight, keep space, I'll be all right.
Gotcha. Now, he wrestled at what, like 157 in college?
165.
Okay.
And then I think 74 his last year.
No kidding. So where do you see yourself?
So right now I'm actually kind of light. I was thinking 41, 49, maybe 57, but right now I'm looking like 41 for sure.
What's your weight right now if I put you on a scale?
Probably like 142.
Okay.
I was up to like 157 before my injury, and I kind of just lost weight.
Is that because you're not lifting weights, or is it just because you're starving yourself to not balloon up like some
I think
kids?
I'm not wrestling as much, so I don't need as much intake.
Okay.
And I don't know, just lost weight.
Gotcha. Now, when you look at the Penn State late weights, I mean, they've got Roman, they've got Robbie, they got Bo. Like, what's the visceral feeling you get when you think about wrestling with those guys every day?
So, for me, I got losses to Bo and Howard.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited to get my revenge. So, I'm going to be pushing them. I'm going to be on their heels. They better not slow down. And then someone like Roman, who I got to wrestle with a little bit during this quarantine, it's just so fun. Like, I've had the most fun wrestling with him because it's just, there's a flow, and it's almost more of art than a combat sport.
Yeah. Did you, like when Bo and Robbie committed, did that have any impact on what you were thinking?
Not really. As far as I feel like you're kind of leaning towards like the lineup and where I'm going to fit in. I think that the best guy is going to find a way to get in. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to find my way in. I'm going to fight just like a dog, like I had to at Blair, to find my spot in the lineup.
What is it, talking about lightweights, and we're talking about a couple like Robbie, but also Kolioko and Suriano and Sebastian Rivera. What is it about New Jersey and lightweight wrestlers, man?
I think it's honestly all the pork roll, egg, and cheese. It makes them so much better. And I don't know, the big guys, it's like not enough to fill them up, so the little guys kind of stick to that type of meal, and that's really good for them.
Have you already weighed in, and can you tell me where you stand on what you call that breakfast pork product?
Oh, it's pork roll. So the brand, hold on, I have right here on my wall. I can show you. Taylor is the brand. Pork roll is the name.
Gotcha. So it's like it's a tissue, even though Kleenex makes it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Do you get upset when people mislabel that thing?
Oh, for sure. Up at school, it's terrible. I'm currently trying to convince the entire school that they have to change the name.
Other than trying to correct the kids at Blair, tell me a little bit about Coach Antonelli and wrestling at Blair.
It has been the greatest experience of my life. I think that Antonelli is one of the greatest coaches I've ever had. The guy just makes you want to die for him. And he always pushes us to just be our best selves. And he's really focused on not only our wrestling, but us as men and making sure we're prepared to go out into the world. And the culture that we have and the camaraderie and the team is just, I almost have more love for those guys than I do for my own family.
Awesome. Does he feed you venison when he goes hunting?
Oh, every time. It's venison chili every single Thursday before we have weigh-ins on Friday. We go over there. The guys who can eat. The guys who can't, just come and hang out and be together.
Now, you historically have not been a guy who does cut weight, right?
No, I eat the chili every time.
And do you see that changing at all in college? Not eating the chili, but your relationship with weight cutting.
I don't think so. I think that I perform better when I'm closer to my natural weight. I think cutting weight just takes away from the speed and the power and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha. Before we get really past the recruiting thing, if you were going to do it over again, or if there was a sophomore or junior just going into it, any advice you'd either give yourself in retrospect or someone who's about to go through it?
Let's see. I mean, taking your time is important, but it's also stressful. So I would say that for me, I feel like I took a little bit too long to make my decision, and it just kind of got tiresome after a while. So I would just say manage your time wisely. Don't push things off. Just get it done, but make sure you take enough time to make the right decision.
You don't have to answer this, but what's it like when you tell a coach, I'm not coming there? I've heard different guys say, some coaches don't talk to him again, other ones take it in stride. What was it like for you?
So for me, especially with some of the schools that I had already had relationships with, it was very hard. But if you are respectful about the way that you go about telling them, they will still continue to have a good relationship with you. I know I've spoken to and been in rooms with coaches that I've already told no, and it's been no different for me.
Gotcha. Now, we talked a little bit about having a loss and wanting to get revenge in that room. Tell me about, do you replay matches like that in your mind? Does that drive you, or is it just something you want to improve on that a position, say?
So it's not necessarily that I replay the match for motivation, but I will definitely go back and look at my losses because those are where you learn the most about where you can be better.
Gotcha. Now, have you been to a home match at Penn State?
I have not, no.
Okay. Have you been to nationals before, NCAA nationals?
Nope.
Okay. Well, then that was quick. Let's go. Can we talk about John Brooks? Because everybody tells me, maybe it's John, that he is recruiting, like he's the #1 recruiter for Penn State. Tell me a little bit about John Brooks and your relationship with him.
So personally, I don't have a relationship with him, but me and Aaron have gotten really close.
Okay.
And John has been talking a lot to my dad and to a couple of the other guys at Blair and their parents. So he definitely is reaching out, and he's a big part of why the team is looking the way that it does and why we continue to keep getting good guys.
Tell me a little bit about Aaron Brooks. Now, I've talked to him a bunch, and on and off camera, really like him. But give us something. He's not going to listen. Just something embarrassing.
I don't know. He's a bit of a softie when it comes to the ladies. He doesn't know how to tell a girl no.
Really?
Yeah.
No kidding. All right. Moving on. Sorry, Aaron. Talk a little bit about embracing that you wanting to be at the Big Ten, wrestling tough guys in practice. Every match is no easy outs. Tell me a little bit about your mental toughness and your approach to the sport, and how did it feel like that since you were in middle school or high school, or when did that start, and how's it grown?
So what really was a big eye-opener for me was my sophomore year, where I was wrestling a top 10 guy in the country every single weekend. I was going to Ironman, Beast of the East, and then wrestling SEM and all that competition. I feel I wrestled at my highest level while I was doing that. And so if I'm consistently being pushed and I know I have to train, then there's no time to ever slack off or, this is an easy match. I don't have to work hard this week. I can do a bad weight cut. There is none of that. You have to do everything right because you know that the guy out there who you're going to go against is doing everything right because he's coming right for you.
Your dad's an All-American. Did he push you into the sport? Did he say just drag you along to a practice? Like, how did you get introduced?
So there's a picture of me in a singlet before I could walk at one of his home matches while he was coaching in high school in Somerville. So I've always been around wrestling, and it's always been my choice. I think it was like 4th grade or 5th grade. I told my dad I wanted to play basketball. He looked at me funny at first and then said, if that's really what you want to do, next year we could do that. And then we went through the whole summer. I played basketball for maybe a week, and then I was like, I don't like this. Let's go back to wrestling. So it's definitely always been my choice, and that's how most things have been in my life. My parents give me all my options, and then they let me choose for myself what I want.
Were you any good at the basketball experience, or was that like
terrible? But all my friends did it. It was a cool thing. Wrestling is not very popular in my town, so I kind of was made fun of because I have to wear a unitard and all this and all that. And all I know is if we were out there on the mat, I would blast W and drop you on your head. So it doesn't really matter.
Tell me a little bit about that. Like, what is it about the sport? You want to dominate people. What is it? Because you wrestle with a passion, which I think fits right in with Penn State, high motor and intensity. But what is it that speaks to you?
I think I'm somewhat of a psychotic individual because my favorite thing in wrestling is the feeling of while you're going against someone and you just feel their spirit and their will break and they give up on the mat. I think that is what I strive for, and that is what I love.
Does it affect you if you're in a close match not knowing what the result would be? Like if you're wrestling Bartlett, if you can't break him and it's a tight match, do you feel any different through the whole thing, or are you just striving for that the whole time? I want to break him still.
Whether I'm winning by 10 or I'm down by 10, my mindset doesn't change. I'm trying to keep putting points on the board and just break this guy's will. I'm coming for him again and again and again. He can score, but I'm getting right away, and I'm going after him.
So just to examine it a little deeper, so when you're on the mat, are you talking to yourself like attack, 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 or are you thinking just go, or what's going on in the brain?
I enter this flow state where I don't think anymore. I just do. There's I have people ask me, or they try and talk to me after my matches about what I did, and I don't remember because my brain goes on autopilot and I just go.
Gotcha. You see a sports psychologist?
I did. I was doing the wrestling mindset for a little bit, but I don't do that anymore.
Gotcha. Tell everybody who is not familiar with New Jersey wrestling a little bit about it. You know, tons of NCAA champions, world team members. I mean, it's really it's not quite as good as far as credentials go with Pennsylvania, like All-Americans, but producing top talent. What's it like growing up in Jersey?
I think the difference between Jersey and Penn State has more guys out of sheer numbers, but if you were to put a Pennsylvania guy versus a New Jersey guy that both wrestle in a street fight, I would pick the New Jersey guy every time. I think that Jersey is just tougher than everybody else.
Gotcha. Tell me a little bit about, so we were in the lockdown, right? Couldn't do anything, then you're injured. Tell me a little bit, did your mind wander during the COVID lockdown at all? Were you distracted by other things?
So lockdown, we got kicked out of school, we went home for a break, and then they said that we weren't going to be able to come back. So I was already training and working, and then they said that you weren't allowed to go out or anything, and so I said, Mom, I need my cousin to move in with me so we can train. He's going to quarantine with us. He's going to live with us throughout this whole thing, however long it lasts. So my cousin Lorenzo, who also goes to Blair, he's a sophomore this year, lived with me for about 2 months. And we would wake up every day, go to school, do what we had to do, and then we would go out and we would train every single day. So I had a partner. I found a way to get it in.
Gotcha. Well, that's awesome to have a built-in partner with your cousin. Tell me just a little bit about the history. We talked a little bit about Coach Antonelli and your dad, but who has had the biggest influence on your wrestling career, up to this point, or a couple people?
I would say, without a doubt, it's been my dad. He was my coach all the way up until I got to high school, and he still kind of is my coach, not in the sense that he's in my corner, but we run through game plans together over the phone before big matches. And stuff like that, and he's always just been there in my corner. Another person, obviously Antonelli, who's physically there in my corner. He's in the practice room pushing me every single day, and all the Blair staff, Rivera and Carbonaro and Thatcher and Coach Laurent and Sticks, everyone. I love those guys to death. And then another person who isn't necessarily a coach for wrestling, but my life coach is kind of my mom, and she's always in my corner too. And those are the people that I really like to thank.
Gotcha. I don't know how to word this. Is there anything that you adjusted in yourself to become one of the best wrestlers in the country from when you were just really good?
Yeah, I stopped worrying about the result. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. I focus on things that I can control, my effort, my attitude, and that I think just pushed me levels, and I've just started making jumps because I know that if I wrestle to the best of my ability, I don't think that there's a person out there that can beat me. Gotcha.
On a less serious note, who are some of the funnier characters that you hang out with as wrestlers?
Lorenzo is a clown. He's my cousin, but he has incredible book smarts. When it comes to common sense, he is lacking. He's one of the clumsiest people I've ever met. Every time he eats, there's a mess wherever he goes, and I don't think he's ever not missed the toilet bowl when he's taking a piss.
That must have been awesome to be in quarantine with that. Huh?
Oh, my mom loved it.
How old is he? So if he's a sophomore, he's 15?
16.
16?
Yeah.
My son's 12, and he still does not like the toilet bowl. I can't believe I said that out loud. What else? So you're really good at wrestling. Got to be smart to go to Blair. Are you good at anything else?
I do a little bit of rapping every now and then with my friends. I'm not very good at it, but it's something that I enjoy. I do gymnastics. I'm pretty talented in that. I'm a big runner. I would say that I'm one of the fastest guys on our team. Not that I'm fast in general, but I think mentally, that's why I'm good at running because when it comes to long distance, it's not necessarily about how fast you are. It's about can you keep going.
Yeah. So fast at a mile, 2 miles?
I think for me, 2 miles and up is where I start to really spread myself apart from everybody else.
Gotcha. Do you watch other wrestlers? Videotape?
Yeah, especially now that I'm not able to be on the mat. That's all I do.
Who are some of your favorite people to watch?
So I don't know if I have a favorite person, but I'll just go in and I'll look up 2011 Olympics, and I'll watch the whole thing. And I'll just see all the finals and all the matches, and I'll watch the highest level. I watch a lot of James Green. I really like the way that he wrestles. I watch a lot of Thomas Gilman. His hand fight, I love it. I can't wait to get my hands on that guy. That's going to be a good time. And I used to watch a lot of my dad when I was little. It was kind of like watching a superhero, being a little kid and watching him beat up on some guys, and it was awesome.
So I know you talk about still scrapping with him, and does he ever go into, like, I don't know what they're called in Jersey, but I know like the fat and bald is blowing up all over Pennsylvania East Coast. Does he do that, or is it just in the room?
So there's one time before I can remember, but he did go to a tournament with me, and there's a picture of it. Old man, bald hair, wrestling, and I think he got thrown to his back in his second match and pinned. But it was definitely a cool experience to watch him do that.
That's funny. You've been around. How old? So the photo of you with a singlet before you could walk.
Yeah.
You've been around wrestling your whole life. If you were king of wrestling for a day, what would you do to make high school wrestling more exciting or better?
I would make the mat smaller, and I would put walls up so that there's nowhere to run. There would be no out of bounds.
Gotcha. Like sort of being in the what was it, the wrestling underground with the cage where you just couldn't get away.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's how I like to train. When I grew up wrestling in my garage, it's a 10 by 20. There's nowhere to go. You got to fight the guy in front of you. You can't run away.
Got it. Is there anybody that you don't like wrestling that you've wrestled?
My cousin Lorenzo. I think that we have grown up together and we've been wrestling throughout our whole lives together, that we know each other so well that we can never score on each other. It's just weird. We just go back and forth, and nobody ever can score. So it's a bit annoying, but it's good for conditioning, and it's good for our egos to always put each other in check, and we just push each other.
Got it. You mentioned earlier national champ, world champ, Olympic champ. Are your goals written down somewhere, or are they just in your head?
I used to be big on writing my goals down, but then once I had a dream about being a world and Olympic champ, I woke up one morning and remembered it, and I knew I didn't have to write it down anymore because it was something that I already knew was in my head, and it wasn't going anywhere.
I know it's a long way away, but would you be a coach after all those things happen?
So one thing in quarantine that I was doing a lot of was doing private lessons with kids. And so I've done a lot more coaching, and I always did do private lessons, but I was able to work with people consistently, and I got to see real progress in the kids I was coaching, and it definitely has opened my eye to coaching and made it really a possibility for me. I think it's something that I would definitely be interested in.
Gotcha. So we talked a little bit about your recovery and that you're in a removable boot. Do you have any idea? I know everything's kind of up in the air, and I've talked to Coach Anthony, but do you have any idea what your personal schedule is going to look like over the next 6 months?
So my first priority is to get better as far as my injury, and then the only thing after that is to get prepared for college.
Okay. All right. 2 more questions. We'll get out of here. We talked in the morning before you made your announcement on Instagram. Did you put that whole video together yourself, or did someone help you? Like, that was a lot of stuff going on.
So Mayday Productions is one of my dad's friends, and he actually shot all the footage that you saw at National Preps. He followed me around. It was kind of weird at first having a camera crew. I never really did anything like that before, but it definitely paid off seeing this video. And I'm extremely grateful to him for making that for me. And I think that it's going to start something new, because wrestlers don't usually do. They usually post a photo and that's it. And then the football players and the basketball players, they have these whole highlight videos and they tell stories. And I think that gives them more publicity. So I think this will bring more attention to our sport if it looks cool and it's eye-grabbing. I think that is something that I'm trying to do to bring more attention to wrestling.
Gotcha. You know what? Before I close out, I just wanted to ask, what would your teammates at Blair say is the most annoying thing about Shayne Van Ness?
My hand fighting. They hate to hand fight with me. They say that my teammate TJ, he was our 160-pounder, 170-pounder. He will tell you that every time we do a hand fighting drill, Antonelli always yells at him to pick his head up and to fight back and to try harder. And TJ gets so frustrated because he's trying as hard as he can, but he just can't do very much. Gotcha.
That's pretty good, going up against a guy 20 pounds heavier.
That's how I've always been. I always wrestled against bigger and stronger guys, and I think that's helped me to better myself.
Any message you want to give to Blair, Penn State, Shayne Van Ness fans?
I just want to say thank you to everyone who's helped me and supported me throughout my journey. I'm really excited and looking forward to my collegiate career, and a special thank you to Blair, and a super special thank you to my teammates, my family, and my brothers. I love all of you.
Appreciate you taking the time, and I'm looking forward to seeing you back on the mat.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and it's always a pleasure speaking with you.